I can
Good.
promise you that.
Okay. I can always count on you for that, Rob.
Hey, listen, like we'll bust through as quickly
There
as
you
we need
go.
to.
So, Alan, I just have to tell you this. This was really funny. I was going back and listening to the replay from the February 3rd meeting, and you had made such a good point. 2 weeks is gone. 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. It was really kind of interesting. That's all I'll explain to you, now. But it was pretty funny. Remind me to tell you about it.
Okay.
Recording has started.
Okay, Marika, as I think we have quorum here, I'm going to call the Friday, March 18th meeting of the Southborough Economic Development Committee to order. It will be recorded and can be live on YouTube for residents who want to participate. They can also zoom in here. As a first step, I'm going to do a roll call vote of those EDC members who are here as I see them on the screen. So as I call your name, just let me know that you're here. Alan Belniak.
Here.
Michael Moorhead.
Here.
Matt Berger.
Here.
Chris Robbins.
Here.
Rob Anderson here as well. So jumping straight in to the first of the reports here. I think there are two things that I wanted to bring up that were important. The first off, and this will be expanded upon hopefully by Marika, was we had the chance to talk with a property owner in the downtown about what their plans may be for some of the sites down there. It was very productive. We had the chance to make clear that with the new zoning, there was flexibility. With the new zoning, that there was the opportunity to bring in growth to the downtown and the opportunity to bring in some housing units, although small in nature. Some of them could also be affordable, which would help the town towards its 40B numbers. The conversation was productive. We had a good reception with them, and I left that particular meeting more positive that something could happen as a result of the zoning change. So that was kind of a first meeting. Marika might have more to add there. The second thing was that I was contacted by a gentleman who is on the Southborough Council on Aging. He has a local cable access TV show himself and Arthur Bergeron. And as chair of the EDC, just asked me if I wanted to participate. This will be coming up next week. I'm not sure the nature of the conversation, but the way it was explained to me is it's a little bit kind of free flowing and tangential, which I love doing. And some of the things that they might be talking about were the goals for the EDC, what some of the opportunities could be with Route 9 and the investments there, and what are some of the things that the town, through some type of advocacy, could support in order to see the type of economic development growth that we want and need, and how we can compete with neighboring communities. So that is coming up next week. And I just want to let the rest of the committee know that I had been asked and accepted that invitation from them. So with those two things, and obviously there's more happening in life beyond just those two things, I did want to keep it short and open up the next agenda item to see if there were any reports from any of the members.
Yeah, this is Chris. Can I?
Yes. Yes.
Bob,
please
I just
go.
say congratulations. Anytime you have an opportunity to lend a voice to what we are doing. I think the guy you're dealing with is Doug Peck.
Yes.
It's a great opportunity to convey our message, where we've been, where we're going, and bravo. Thank you.
And to that point, the reason why I did bring it up is that there might be some things that the individuals think we've spoken about in the context of the EDC that for whatever reason I might not recall as clearly, or might be an important point to make. If people could email me individually to just say, hey, Rob, did you remember this conversation? And I'm going to use that as a way to set the stage for our discussion item about the Trails Committee. The connection of the trails to our downtown makes our downtown more walkable, where it could potentially bring in some things that improve the quality of life, also support the businesses in the downtown. So a reminder that the importance of trails and the connection that we could get there might be something that I might want to bring up, but I might need a reminder. So going out to the committee, if there are certain things that you think that I should remember about what we've discussed in the past, please do. And I see Julie Connolly has joined us. Hi, Julie.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
No worries. We had a quorum, so we hopped in. I
Great.
just done the agenda item for the chair report. Are there any other reports from members?
So as a member of the master plan committee, that is sort of coming to its final stages. I think by June we anticipate being done. So just last night I got a sort of draft final, and I forwarded over to you, Robin, to Marika, but it was just last night. And one kind of action item on our part is to go through and sort of set timetables and also confirm whether the action items that are delegated to EDC, are ones that we think are appropriately delegated to EDC, and if not, to raise that now. And then they kind of have three buckets of timeframes. One is the short term, one's a medium term, one's a more long term. So I expect Marika will be circulating that. They're due by April 1st. So just logistically, I don't think we're meeting again before then. So if you want to authorize me to compile any comments that we have to submit, that would be great. Yes, Marika.
I think that's the perfect way to do that. I think one of the things that I personally always find difficult in the public sphere sometimes is working at the speed of business. And so with shorter timeframes, I think what we need to do. So I would entertain a motion from the EDC to.
Can I just just quickly, we have a meeting scheduled for March 31st. So Julie, maybe if I distribute it among the committee, they can, give their feedback. And on March 31st, we could kind of discuss how to, what to send over.
That's even better.
Okay, so we will take a vote on the 31st for submittal, but what we will do is individually email Julie beforehand. So on the 31st, we'll have a document that we can vote to submit.
Could Julie send us all a copy of what's in the content?
Yeah, I sent it to Marika last night so she could distribute it, but it was late, so you don't have it yet.
Yeah, and Marika, thanks for reminding me. I'm looking at the agenda, and I had not gotten down to the fact that we're meeting on March 31st. So
I didn't realize that either. Yeah, and just so everyone knows, the point of this exercise is the master plan committee spent a fair amount of time talking about, well, okay, we had a master plan in 2008, and as this committee has acknowledged many times, much of the goals were not implemented. And, just a few years ago, we sort of picked up on that, and that was a catalyst for our downtown work and other things. So one of the things that the master plan committee is focused on is how do we kind of track implementation and goal, reaching the goals that we're setting out for the town. So that's why this piece of it's important.
Wonderful. Yeah. I think that's great. Okay. Thank you, Julian. Marika, we'll get that out and about. Are there
Sorry, just quick question on that. Does the master plan get voted on by the town, or like how does it get like executed or validated or finalized?
I don't think that's a really good question. I wasn't around for the last one. I don't think so. I think it's adopted by, I assume, the Board of Selectmen, but I'm not 100% positive. And if anyone here or anyone in the audience wants to correct me on that, I believe it's adopted by the Board of Selectmen, but I'm not 100% sure. But that's a great question.
Yeah, it's adopted by both. I think the planning board and the board.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
There is a presentation to town meeting that is necessary, but at that presentation, town meeting doesn't say thumbs up or thumbs down. It's just an acceptance of the fact that you have a master plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Unless, and I don't see anyone else with their hands raised at the moment, I think we're moving on to the next discussion item, the presentation by the Trails Committee on bylaw article.
Rob, I think Marika wanted to say something.
Oh, did you? Okay. You're on mute.
Marika, you're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry. We have Sam Stivers in the audience and he has his hand raised, so I'm not sure if you want to acknowledge him.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we can recognize Sam.
Hey, Rob, Sam here. Quick comment. The master plan is the responsibility of the planning board. And so the planning board will vote to accept it. They'll present it to the selectmen and present it to a town meeting. But they're the ones who organize it and conduct it and approve it at the end. So that's the way technically that works. But obviously, many people have opportunity to provide input to it. So that's the answer to that one.
Thank you, Sam.
Wonderful. Okay. I should take a look and see if there's anyone else. Okay.
Sam's the only attendee right now, I think.
Okay. Excellent. Marika, the presentation by the Trails Committee on bylaw Article 31.
Yes, so Catherine McKee asked to have some time to present their bylaw. So I just texted her if she's not here yet. So she was supposed to be here by 8:30, which is, I guess, it's still 8:29. Maybe we can go to the next item and wait for her to join us.
No, I think we can definitely do that. So we'll table that until she is able to join. That is my cell phone, sorry. The EEA project status.
Yeah, maybe Claire can give us an update on what's happening with that.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. So the first quarter for reporting, it ends at the end of March, and several things have been done. One is putting together about 99% done. Well, actually, it needs to have Marika's review, but we've been working on what needs to be included in the project plan so that that document is there. It's my intention then to have, obviously you folks will take a look at it, but it's my intention that the selectmen are aware of this upfront and that they also approve that. So that's one part. The second part is that Marika and I have been working on is in line with the study that had previously been done and some of the work that in talking with Paul Pazinski has to be done kind of like pre-work. We've been working on putting together a kind of a map of all the parcels along Route 9 that have to be studied so that the engineering firm who takes this over will see that that's done, tie it together with what was in the first report, and then be able to move on from there. It's something that the engineering firm could do, but it would be very expensive at whatever their rate is. So in other words, this was something that Paul Pazinski had recommended, and he's the one who knows every inch of that soil along Route 9. So he actually will be the first reviewer of it, so to speak. Questions?
No, and Claire, I think that's the fact that Paul recommends something, I think ties in very well with the third item that we have on the under discussion. So I think that will be a point that we discuss in a moment. I do notice that Catherine has joined us. Are there any other questions from the EDC about the EEA project status? Okay, I don't see any. So Claire, thank you so much for that. And I do think some of what you're working on there would be applicable to our third item of discussion. But before then, what I did want to do was welcome Catherine and have a presentation by the Trails Committee on bylaw article number 31.
Great. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Thank you for your time this morning. This will only take a few minutes. The Trails Committee wanted to present in front of EDC, and we're doing so with a few other committees, commissions, and boards to let you know that we have an article going in the town warrant to be voted on at town meeting to convert from an ad hoc committee to a standing committee. So the first point of business is related to why we're doing this. So we understand that it's simply the definition of an ad hoc committee is one that's usually put in place on a project basis, and a standing committee is a more permanent basis. We've been in existence since 2013, so that's been about 9 years, and there's been some significant contributions to the town. So we think it's a little bit, a more permanent committee would be a better suit for the Trails Committee and its clearer responsibilities and a little bit more flexible organization. So as a step one of this process last fall, we went before the select board and asked if we could update our charter. And what we did was we changed some language to make it more encompassing of some of the promotion of trails, making trails aware, making Southborough residents aware of trails and such. And we also added 2 non-voting associate members to the committee. And the reason we did that was because a few years back, we recognized that we had some committee members that could attend some meetings, but not all. I think we've all been there when you can't meet quorum, you have other obligations, full-time responsibilities. So we wanted to find a way we could work with individuals that can't meet the full commitment of a committee. So that's where the idea came from associate members, and it's not new. It's been used and is currently being used by other communities such as Ashland, Weston, Chatham, for example, and we've spoken with those communities as well to understand how their process works. And they're using it on non-regulatory boards. So committees like the Town Forest or the Rail Trail Committee. And one of the benefits of doing this is you're allowing more residents to participate in your committee. They have an opportunity to try out the committee, see if it's going to work for them. And it gives the committee an opportunity to leverage talents that might not otherwise be available to them because someone's not available full time. Much of the feedback that we're getting from other communities is that it's a great way to ramp people up. So if you have turnover on your committee, you would have members sort of in waiting if they chose to step up in that role. So you're not losing your institutional knowledge. That's something that happened when I came on the committee in 2017. It was a full committee when I came on, or actually there was a couple openings. There was 2 of us that started, and then within 6 months, the entire original committee and those members that knew all the information about trails had left. So we were left, kind of scrambling. Now, obviously, the chair had great notes and wonderful records that we could rely on and try to transfer information as much as possible, but it was a challenge. So this situation, this setup kind of helps with that. The other reason is, here's some comments on some statements on why it's beneficial, is we recognize that volunteers they do a really important job. I think Chris Robbins, you just mentioned and had a letter written to my Southborough and presented at the select board, which really highlighted that point, how important our volunteers are in town, and recognizing those volunteers, saying thank you to those volunteers and how important that is. So one of the things we feel like is important for the associate members is to list them on the website, make sure they get the recognition for their contributions. So other things that, we've talked about is the Southborough Trails Committee is one of 3 committees in town that requires manual labor outside of our monthly meetings. So maintaining trails, it takes a lot of work. And a lot of times that work takes place between spring and fall. And that's also the time where many people are taking vacation. So oftentimes it could fall onto 1 or 2 members to try to do the trail work themselves or organize volunteers. So having a couple of extra hands, critical to getting our job done. And just in case you haven't met the Trails Committee members, I'll just run through them quickly. I'm Catherine McKee, the chair. Satyendra Sharma is the recording clerk. Isabel Murphy, Tom McCoolier, Isabella Bogdansky, Will Warren, and Tony Schoner. They are the current associate members. They've been serving in this capacity since last year. And so that's been about 4 months, and the process is working really well. And some of the feedback, we did have legal counsel review the idea of adding associate members and wanted to make sure that we were covering all of our bases and not presenting something to the town that was a bad thing. And we went to the select board, they voted it forward. And as a result of some of the feedback, we put into place a member conduct policy. And we did that so that all members, non-voting and voting, are aware of the open meeting law and conflict of interest laws, and that everyone has to be responsible for doing their part and not breaking open meeting law. And the onus does fall on the voting members. But we put that policy in place to make it really clear to everybody that, we all have to abide by those rules. So I'll stop there and take any questions. What we're looking for is, I think I forwarded the bylaw that you may have been able to review. That's currently under review by the general counsel. So we are going to have another red line version, a cleaned up version for you. So ultimately, if the EDC felt like it was appropriate, we'd like you to take a vote, and that would probably be at a future meeting once you see the final bylaw, a vote to either support or obviously we hope that you support it, but we'd take a vote, and then we would be able to say, and what we're doing with other committees, commissions, and boards is saying, we have the following that are supportive of this article, for example, as a way to let others know that we've kind of socialized this idea. We're interested in your feedback, we're interested in your questions, and we're interested in your concerns if you have any. So I'll stop there and open that up.
Excellent, Catherine. Thank you so much. I think I had noticed at least one hand go up from Alan, and I did notice that Julie was unmuted as well. So maybe I'll start with Alan and then go to Julie.
Sure, although it's quick. I think so thank you, Catherine, for walking us through that. My reason I raised my hand and then lowered it was a good presentation. Thanks. I've already skimmed the bylaw that was sent around. I'll read it in more detail. What I was ultimately getting to was, what was it that you were specifically seeking from us? And it sounds like it's just our review, and if we vote and if we have our support to help push this forward. So I just wanted to clarify that, and you did. So thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Julie, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to say that, the EDC at one point was an ad hoc committee as well, and we went through the process of becoming a standing permanent committee. So we are definitely, understand what you guys are going through and understand the benefits of being a permanent committee. And, I think from my perspective, at least, a lot of the goals of your committee actually align with ours. in that, you know, we're strong proponents of connectivity, of trying to find find ways to get people to different places without necessarily having to drive and park there. And we view the trails as part of sort of the package of amenities that make Southborough really desirable and attractive. And so I'm strongly in support of the work that you guys do. And, you know, without speaking for my committee, the bylaw certainly has my support.
Excellent. Thank you, Julie. And I think you hit upon a very good point that the goals of the EDC align very well with getting people out of their cars and walking and spending time in our town. And it's also a way to attract people from other towns to our community to then therefore support business. So I think there's some great synergy there. One question that I had, and this was just kind of somewhat tangential, is becoming a full committee opening up the opportunity to apply for more grants. Is that a benefit that you could foresee from becoming from an ad hoc to a standing?
It's a good question that I don't really have a clear answer on. Essentially, we're applying for grants as an ad hoc committee now. And I have not personally in the last 5 years, run into a situation that said and precluded us from presenting, you know, proposing a grant application as an ad hoc. So it may give us more permanence and, you know, stature in the community, but and an organization may take us more seriously. But we have not run into that issue yet.
Okay, excellent. I'm glad to hear it. I'm also glad to hear that it sounds like you guys have been applying for grants from a lot of places. So I think that's phenomenal.
Well, let's clarify that. So we just went after our first main big grant, Mass Trails grant this year. So that's about a $270,000 grant. The grant cycle will be closing and they'll announce awards in July. So we've not gone after a lot like EDC, I would say, goes after a lot of grants. We certainly go after some local grants and we're ramping that up.
Okay, fabulous. Do anyone else have any comments or questions? So Catherine, thank you so much for the presentation. I think what the EDC will do is it does sound, taking a feel of the room, that there is support, and that what we would do is when town council has had the opportunity to take a look at the final bylaw, we will aim to have it on our agenda and take a vote of support. Because our meetings might sometimes conflict with your schedule, you're more than welcome to attend, but as long as it ends up on our agenda, I think we can take a vote of support and coordinate through Marika on that.
Great. That works perfectly. And if anyone has any questions after you've had some time to think about it, certainly feel free to reach out to me. kmckee@southboroughma.com. Thank you. I do have one question for EDC. This is a shameless plug for the master plan committee. We're requesting pictures from the community and looking for outreach partners to help get the word out. So I just had a question for you is, one, do you have an EDC update coming out before the 27th of March that you might be able to include a little blurb about, hey, send pictures to master plan? Or do you have a distribution list that you would be comfortable sending a little blurb to and saying, hey, master plan's looking for pictures. If you want to submit, feel free. And here's the info.
Maybe I can answer that. Right now, I don't have any updates in the works, but you know, I could definitely consider that. And otherwise, I will post it on our EDC Facebook page.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, and I can send you the information. Probably won't get to it today because I have to get to work after this meeting, but I will send it this evening.
Anytime.
If you could post it next week, that would be perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Well, have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Thank you for your time this morning.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Excellent. So I think we heard Claire present on the EEA project. And that leads into the third point, the one-stop application for fiscal year 2023. The things that Claire had mentioned in her presentation was the fact that along Route 9 in the study area for the EEA, we should take a look at those parcels that had the potential for any type of development on them. And so I thought that that led very well into the one-stop application that we're doing this year. I think we're taking a look at a consultant to help us advise on the potential zoning changes along Route 9. Wouldn't it be great to know what properties are out there, what each of those property looks like, the size, the soil, the potential, and then incorporate that into the study of the zoning? Because why make zoning change suggestions if we don't have any properties that could fit? So I think, and Marika, maybe you want to expand on this just a little bit, about expanding our one-stop application, or even conceivably thinking about a second application to just do a study of those potential properties.
So Rob, thank you. Yeah, I think it's very important that we look at this in a comprehensive way. We're not just looking at zoning separate from, the wastewater study. And I had a really good meeting with Mass Development, which happened because they reached out because we had earlier applied for a grant, which was unsuccessful, but they just wanted to see how they could assist. So we just had a general conversation about Southborough, and the thing that came out of there was that with our zoning review, it might make sense to include, or maybe as a separate application, do an economic opportunity study that would direct the zoning changes or the zoning update. Basically to look at Southborough and say, these are our economic opportunities with a wastewater system, like what kind of businesses would you want to attract? And these are the opportunities that you would have if you go ahead with a central wastewater solution. And that could then, direct your zoning changes. So I thought that was a very good good idea. So maybe we can discuss that if we want to include that in our application for the one-stop. Secondly, we just received feedback from the one-stop application. It's not very comprehensive, but I just want to say that the first thing that they start with is to remind Southborough that we are an MBA community. And that we have to have certain requirements in place by December 2022 to be eligible for certain grants. So I think, again, we need to maybe work with SHOPSI or planning to kind of make sure that they take the MBTA community requirements seriously, because it might affect our future grant, success. Or applications, whether we are successful or not, might depend on that. Otherwise, the feedback was that the project that we applied for would be eligible for to apply for a grant within the planning and zoning category. So I will distribute the feedback to everyone. I just received it this morning from Vanessa.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marika. I see Alan has his hand raised.
Thanks, Rob. A quick question about the comment about us being an MBTA community. I may have misunderstood from a prior meeting. This is how I understand it, and if someone can either confirm or clarify for me, that'd be great. With the notion of being an MBTA community, I thought I heard that if we decline pushing forward with that that grant or that opportunity or seeking that money, it automatically precludes us from other opportunities. But from what I just heard from Marika right now, I think I heard it might. I just want to be clear for my own edification. Does it automatically preclude us, or does it just put us at a disadvantage with other monies?
Alan, unfortunately, I don't know.
But sorry,
I-
I actually it's in the feedback. You're automatically ineligible to apply or to receive certain grants.
Okay, thank you for that. So that's really good to note, because if we say no to one, we're saying no to a lot, not just saying no to one. That's okay. Thank you.
And to that, it might seem like a simple question, but I think there are lots of people who don't know the answer to that. I would like to bring up at this point in time that there is an event coming up on March 28th, jointly held by the Middlesex 3 Coalition and the 495 Partnership for draft guidance on multifamily zoning requirements for the MBTA communities. At 9 o'clock on Monday, the 28th. There is a Zoom opportunity for people to participate. In a work role, I have signed up, and I think Marika, maybe you might have as well. But I think it's important that people know that that's an option. I do notice, Claire, that you had your hand raised as well.
Yes, thank you, Rob. I just want to make a really quick point on what you said about the zoning. It is so important to, first of all, understand what the zoning is going to be or how it's going to change, because otherwise an engineering firm can't really do a good recommendation on what to do for wastewater systems. This was something that I learned when doing the downtown project, and the Westman and Sampson guy had said, which we kind of walked him through, is what are you going to be using it for? So if it was to be like, well, a couple of these processes can go on simultaneously. If it was to be a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 1 would be the zoning needs to be identified and or changed, whatever, but that has to be determined.
Well, if I might, the fact that we have to review the zoning for what's there right now in order to make recommendations for the future, we also have to know where in Southborough that new zoning could be implemented. So it strikes me that at the suggestions that Marika got, that we have parallel tracks, which is where that new zoning could be implemented and what our new zoning is. So I suppose the question to the EDC is, do we want to think about recommending a second application? One being the economic opportunity study for particular parcels and where it could happen, separate from the zoning review, or do we want to try to integrate both of those into one comprehensive study so that we not only identify the properties, what the current zoning is, and what the zoning could be in one document? Any thoughts on that from the committee? Alan, I see your hand raised.
Thank you, Rob. Just the way you described it, to me, it sounds like that would only strengthen our application, because I'm not a reviewer of the applications, but if I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of someone who is reviewing it, that appears to be comprehensive. It appears that we have a vision, that we want these two things to work hand in glove. I almost can't see why it would harm us, but I'm open to other points of view as to why we might want to keep those separate. But my first reaction is, yeah, well, let's combine those, but I'm open to hearing what others think. Thanks.
I do have an opinion on it, but I want to open it up to the rest of the committee as well. John, I noticed you went off mute, so I'm going to call on you.
I missed most of it and I apologize. I couldn't get online. My internet was temporarily down. I caught the end of it and I think the comprehensive way, the more information, the better. I think combining it, I don't see any reason why not, but I missed a lot of the conversation, but the more information we can give them, the better. Like Alan said, it sounds like we're closer to implementing and doing it. And I know they like shovel ready projects, so.
That's the perfect, that was almost exactly what I was going to say. Any grant that has a next step that goes along with it is stronger. And so if we're suggesting zoning changes, then someone's going to come back and say, well, where are you going to do it? Do you have the opportunity to put that new zoning onto parcels where construction or development could happen? So, John, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Any other comments from the rest of the EDC? Okay. So I'm going to, because I don't know the answer to this, the EDC is in charge of writing the one-stop application. I think what we want to do is put the town of Southborough in the best position to receive that grant. The feeling that I get is that a more comprehensive study that identifies the economic opportunity parcels not only helps our EEA project that we're doing for wastewater, but also can help advise on the zoning changes. I think that makes a stronger application. And what I would like to do is obviously integrate that into our one-stop application. So I would also like to bring that concept to the planning board and our other members. Even though we are taking the lead role on the application, we want to make sure that our partners understand what the goals are from this. So, Marika, I think what I'd like to do is maybe have you set up a conversation, and it can be with me one-on-one with the chair of the planning board to see if they feel like it rises to the level of bringing it forward to a planning board meeting, or whether or not they feel comfortable letting us go with that. If you could set that up. And then I think as a second step, I'd entertain a motion to expand the one-stop application to include, as you put in the agenda, an economic opportunities component.
So moved.
Excellent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, with a motion and a second on the floor, is there any further discussion?
Discussion is just how we word it. Do we have good wording for that? It probably need not be very long, but just to make sure that it's clear how we're doing it.
Yes. So what I take to be the motion is to expand the one-stop application to include an economic opportunities study that can advise on the potential zoning changes by taking a look at properties in Southborough.
Okay, thank you.
And so with a motion and a second, I'm going to take a roll call vote. As I see people on the screen, people have moved a little bit. Chris Robbins? It appears that he said yes. Right? Yes,
Yes.
thumbs up. Okay, excellent. Matt?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
John? Yep.
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
And Rob, yes, we have it unanimous. So, Marika, I think we've got a little bit of a direction there. And if you could drop a note to the chair of the planning board, like I said, happy to have a one-on-one. And if they feel like they want a discussion with a planning board meeting, we can move to get on their agenda.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Moving next on to administrative business, the approval of meeting minutes for February 3rd and February 18th. Any
a
comments on the
motion.
minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as written for February 3rd and February 18th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, with a motion and a second, I'm going to do a roll call vote here. Going to go backwards this time. Alan,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes,
and Rob, yes. So we have them all approved unanimously. Unfinished business. Oh, Marika, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I think this is under unfinished business as it pertains to our business outreach program. I just want to remind everyone that there's a meeting set up on Monday, a lunch meeting. So please let me know if you can make it. I invited the Board of Selectmen, but I haven't had a response from them. I will send them a meeting invite today as well. So yes, I just wanted to let everyone know.
I thought the meeting
Marika,
was me. I apologize, but it wasn't. Marika, what time is the meeting at? Noonish?
Noon. Yeah, it's a lunch meeting at noon.
I got about a 75% chance I can make it. I just need to-
Great. Would be great.
Same here. I have a 1 o'clock meeting that afternoon, so I would have to leave by 12:45. I just don't know. While I'm very gracious for the meeting, I just don't know how compact it's going to be. If it's going to be one of those ones where it's kind of a meanders on. So I would love to attend, but I also don't want to be rude if I have to depart early. So I don't know if you know much about the agenda other than they're going to provide lunch or we're going to talk about their business. Do you know anything else?
It's basically an a reintroduction, I guess, to town officials. So, and learn more about RX Advance, their business in Southborough and beyond. Introduce ourselves and see how Southborough can be of assistance, and kind of reestablish the relationship. That's all. So.
Okay.
Yeah, my kids are home from school. My husband's traveling, and I have a busy work day, so I'm not gonna be able to make it. I'm sorry.
Oh, is that a day off?
Yeah, I'm going to actually be up in Gardner, learning about that community. So unfortunately, I won't be able to make it as well. So I do think it's an important initiative, and thank you so much for setting that up. It's just sometimes conflicts pop up with work, so I do appreciate you setting that up.
Marika, I will make it.
Conflicts pop up with your paying job to your volunteer job?
Right.
Inconceivable. Where are your priorities?
Marika, I just moved my schedule around a little bit. I will make it.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I guess with Marika, thank you for the unfinished business. A new business. Once again, I brought this up in terms of the discussion about the MBTA communities. There will be that presentation on Monday, the 28th. You go on the 495 Partnerships website, you can see that. I would encourage people to show up. I think it'll be very informative for people who are involved in zoning, planning, and the strategies for the communities in order to find out more about what needs to be done and how it can help the economic development for every community. So once again, I wanted to just make sure people were aware of that. I guess now is the opportunity to open it up to public comment. Sam, you appear to be the only public with us this morning. I don't see your hand raised. So with that, I guess I would mention that our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, March 31st at 7:30 in the evening. I know, Marika, you'll have an agenda going out. And one of the things we will touch upon will be those things having to do with the master plan that we will see and then get to Julie. So with that, I guess I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay, we have to do the roll call vote, so I'll do this quick. Chris,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Rob. Okay, yeah,